Fighting for his travel ban, Donald Trump says he could issue a new executive order early next week.
We'll win that battle, but we also have a lot of other options, including just filing a brand new order on Monday.
Branded a scar on the nation, a multi-million-pound inquiry into the British military in Iraq is closed.
We will put in place new measures now to ensure this never happens again, that there are proper safeguards to prevent completely malicious and unfounded allegations.
It's a chance to tell our ideology, to tell the reality of the revolution.
Exclusive footage of a British woman fighting for the Kurds in Syria. And Lord Dubs prepares to deliver a 50,000-strong petition calling for the Prime Minister not to abandon migrant children in Europe. Good morning. Donald Trump says he could issue a new executive order as early as Monday after a court ruling blocked his controversial travel ban. The president declared his intent after hosting the Japanese Prime Minister at the White House. Amanda Walker has more.
I think what they're doing at the moment is they're reassessing their legal options. Now, this is an administration that's having to reassess its options in the face of mounting legal obstacles against this executive order.
A controversial £60 million investigation into allegations against Iraq war veterans is to be closed down by the summer. The Iraq Historic Allegations Team was set up in 2010 to look at claims of abuse of Iraqi civilians by troops following the 2003 invasion. The Defence Secretary, Sir Michael Fallon, confirmed 90% of misconduct cases involving British troops will now be dropped. One former soldier, now in Parliament, told Sky News the inquiry represented a scar on the nation. Our defence correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, has more.
The Iraq Historic Allegations Team was set up to investigate crimes committed by British soldiers in Iraq. And few in the military will mourn its closure. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News.
A 27-year-old British woman who's joined the fight against Islamic State in Syria has told Sky News she's part of the final step towards destroying the group. Kimberly Taylor, a 27-year-old maths graduate from Blackburn, joined the YPJ, a female unit with the Kurdish forces last year. Sky News has obtained exclusive footage of her on the front line. Sky's Nick Martin has more.
My name is Kimmy Taylor. I'm from Briton.
Kimberly Taylor calls herself a revolutionary, a freedom fighter.
I came here to write about the women's revolution, but after about 3 days, I decided to stay.
Front lines of Syria against the Islamic State. If she decides to return to Britain, the security services will want to question her, but she's unlikely to be prosecuted. Nick Martin, Sky News, Merseyside.
Cocaine worth more than £50 million has washed up on 2 beaches in Norfolk. The drugs were found in bags on Hopton Beach near Great Yarmouth and at a location near Caister. Police said it represents a major blow to the criminals involved.
The investigation is still in the very early stages, and obviously we've got to do some tests, forensic tests, and have a good look at the seizure. But yes, you're right, it is a substantial quantity of cocaine. I think given that cocaine comes from the majority of cocaine comes from South America, yeah, I think it'd be fair to say that it was heading for Europe, but where exactly, we can't say at the moment.
A man and a woman have died in a fire in a house in Manchester. 4 children aged between 10 and 17 and another man are also being treated in hospital after the fire at the house on Parsonage Road in Withington. Police say they don't yet know what caused it. Police searching for a missing RAF serviceman are carrying out a search of a landfill site in Milton in Cambridgeshire. 23-year-old Corey McKeague was last seen in September in Bury St Edmunds. There's been a warning that schools are struggling to provide the right mental health support for pupils. More than half of head teachers at primary and secondaries across England and Wales say it's currently difficult to find the right services. Our correspondent Joe Tidy went to one school in Slough to talk to pupils.
The things that make me happy are football, playing games, eating food, Harry Potter books.
By the time these children have to deal with whatever adult life throws at them. Joe Tidy, Sky News in Slough.
The Labour peer Lord Dubs will deliver a 50,000-strong petition to Downing Street today, calling for the Prime Minister not to abandon migrant children in Europe and the resettlement scheme named after him. The government has been criticised by campaigners, including the Archbishop of Canterbury, for only allowing 350 children to come to Britain. The French port of Calais is where most refugees have been trying to get to the UK from. From there, our Europe correspondent Mark Stone sent this report.
This is what the jungle looks like now, an eerie emptiness. Then will they turn to the smugglers? What is clear is that there are a growing number of young people here in Calais and many, many more across the continent. Mark Stone, Sky News in Calais.
British gas customers have learnt they won't face a price hike this winter after the Prime Minister condemned the energy industry's bill increases. The company, which is owned by Centrica, said the freeze had been made possible by cutting costs, but that it couldn't rule out rises before the end of the year. Meanwhile, Scottish Power has become the latest Big Six rivals to put up its tariffs from the end of March. Sky's business presenter Ian King reports.
First EDF, then npower, and today Scottish Power. Freeze is likely to exert downward pressure on inflation, meaning an interest rate rise might just stay off the table for longer. Ian King, Sky News.
You're watching Sky News. Coming up.
Some of the Iraqi people in our community are afraid, to what will happen next.
The real impact of Donald Trump's travel ban.
Starts Monday at 10 on Challenge.
Let's get a check on the sports news now.
What's the problem? It's not exactly Niagara Falls, is it?
We start with the big news from Scotland, where Rangers say manager Mark Warburton has resigned alongside assistant David Weir and head of recruitment Frank McParland. There's plenty more reaction to the big story at Rangers and build up to this weekend's football over on Sky Sports News HQ. We'll be back in an hour.
Or you could just hand it to me.
You're watching Sky News. Coming up, another look at the morning's papers in our press preview.
Sky News Monday at 10. Brand new to pick.
This is Sky News, our top stories. Donald Trump says he could issue a new executive order as early as Monday after a court ruling blocked his controversial travel ban. The Defence Secretary says the investigation into abuse claims made against British Iraq war veterans will close in a few months' time. A British woman who's thought to be the first to travel to Syria to join the fight against Islamic State has said she's willing to die in the battle. Rescuers are trying to save dozens of pilot whales that beached themselves in a remote bay in New Zealand. Volunteers rushed to Farewell Spit in Golden Bay at the northwest tip of South Island to try and refloat around 100 of the whales after 300 others died. A warning that this report now by Sarah Hajabagari contains some distressing images.
Mighty in size, but powerless on shore, into shallow graves. Many people visit New Zealand hoping to catch a glimpse of these magnificent creatures. But this is a sight no one could ever want to see. Sarah Heshbagari, Sky News.
In the UK, a 44-year-old man from Hertfordshire has been arrested at Gatwick Airport on suspicion of preparing terrorist acts. The man was stopped as he got off a flight from Iraq and is being questioned at a central London police station. British Airways cabin crew will stage a new 4-day strike from next Friday. Unite Union members will walk out as part of a long-running pay dispute for members of their so-called mixed fleet. Some 2,900 BA staff are currently midway through a similar 3-day strike action. 4 people, including a 16-year-old girl, have been arrested on suspicion of planning an imminent terrorist attack in Paris. French media say the 4 were arrested in Montpellier in the south of the country, where they were allegedly planning to detonate an explosive belt in a tourist area of Paris. Now, with another look at today's newspapers, here's Anna James.
Hello there, you're watching Sky News and the press preview.